it's time to talk about the real world of professional wrestling with the Total Smark and Drew Green.
Joe, what is up, everybody? This is the Total Smark Wrestling Podcast. I am the Total Smark, aka Andrew Green. Follow me on Twitter at Total Smark. On YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for checking this in. If this is your first time listening to the Total Smark Wrestling Podcast, oh boy, I have a lot of stuff to talk to today. We have Samoa Joe to talk about. We have Evaloution to talk about. We have Braun Strowman to talk about. All here on the Total Smark Wrestling Podcast. Now let's get to this first. We're going to start off with a banger. And you know what? It's fun to be a wrestling fan sometimes. Sometimes I just enjoy being a wrestling fan. I am a fan of WWE, so oftentimes I am frustrated to being a wrestling fan. But with WWE comes with NXT, and I have been having a lot of fun watching NXT lately, and NXT has come a long way. It clearly has. I remember watching the very first episode of NXT, the game show, about 10 years ago. And that was when, the game show, Daniel Bryan on there with The Miz and stuff like that, but it's come a long way from then. And then when it got serious, that's kind of when I stepped away from wrestling for a few years. I still kept up with it just a little bit, but I didn't watch it every week. I watched it every once in a while, but I wasn't that big of a wrestling fan when NXT was starting to get serious on the WWE network. Rest in peace right here in the United States for it. But then it came on TV on the USA Network, and clearly by this point when it came on TV a few years ago, yes, I was back as a wrestling fan. But it came on as the same night as AEW Dynamite, and I was watching Dynamite because it was newer. It was just a new thing. I was watching Dynamite. But now NXT is on Tuesday, so I can designate time to sit down and watch NXT and enjoy it. And let me tell you something, WWE fans who just watch Raw and SmackDown, they are missing out on what a solid wrestling show should be. Because SmackDown has the best story going on right now with Roman and the bloodlines, the head of the table, all of that stuff. But NXT is the best show happening right now in wrestling, in my opinion, over AEW, I believe it. But first, TakeOver was great. TakeOver in Your House 2, it was fantastic. I loved it. It was 5 matches in a 2.5-hour window, which is a perfect time for a pay-per-view. Perfect. For 5 matches, they can be an appropriate amount of time. And they can tell the story they want to tell. Because a lot of wrestling pay-per-views, especially with WWE, 4 to 6 hours sometimes 6 to 8 hours, with so much stuff into it, trying to have every single storyline going on to where it's just like, I'm burnt out of it right now. It's hard to continue to pay attention. And obviously, you have both Raw and SmackDown presented to where it's like, I don't even know what's going on in this storyline. And then AEW, on the other hand, I'm going to go easy on AEW. They only have 4 pay-per-views a year, and you build a story up for 3 months. So I understand why AEW pay-per-views are pretty long and why there's many matches on there. It's because, like I said, a few pay-per-views a year, you're going to try to finish off this story or tell this story, tell the big payoff in this pay-per-view of what's going on. But at In Your House 2, we got 5 great matches in 2.5 hours. It flowed nicely. It flew by super quickly. And if you were there, it was well worth your money. And speaking of money, pun intended, I gotta talk about the Cameron Grimes and LA Knight storyline. Because this is a unique storyline for a few multiple reasons. This is a storyline where I was fine with whoever won the match. I don't hate one more guy over the other. I am equally entertained by both, which I don't know when is the last time that we actually got a story to where we are just entertained by the in-ring action. Well, even outside the ring, we're just entertained with both competitors because they're both unique, they're both entertaining, they're just fun. It just draws you in as a wrestling fan because it's just I'm a fan of both of these guys, Cameron Grimes and LA Knight. I'm a fan of both of them now. I love to see their feud, and I would have been perfectly okay with Cameron Grimes winning. And it was just it was entertaining. It was a ladder match. Those are always great. And that's what wrestling should be, And you have a heel. You have a baby face. Both of them are cocky and greedy, but yet Cameron Grimes is the one guy you wouldn't expect to be the rich guy because he kind of comes across as a dumb redneck who has to go up against LA Knight who just has that money look. So there's kind of that empathy with Grimes, and when Ted DiBiase was about to give him the $1 million blessing, LA Knight crashes the party, and he took the attention off of Grimes. Now you kind of want Grimes to win because he's the underdog in this matchup now. You kind of feel a little bad for him. And this match, like I said, it was fun. It was entertaining. The vignettes leading up to this were fun, with LA Knight, with the girls, and then Cameron Grimes, trying to drink the bourbon and the cigarettes and coughing. Like, it was just fun, and LA Knight, the belt just fits him. The $1 million championship, that just fits the man. And he was a heel already when he came into it, but now he has more heat. Because he turned on the $1 million man. And I was sitting at home. I did not expect that. A lot of wrestling is so predictable now. And maybe there were some people that predicted that LA Knight was going to turn on Ted DiBiase. But I didn't get it. I wasn't expecting it. Because he was standing in the ring saying, hey, you were my childhood hero. When we would play wrestling in the backyard, we would fight whoever was going to be you. I had your action figure that came with that belt that I have now. Then he's like, you know what? But now that I got everything that I have, I'm going to... I forgot what he said, but he's like, I have everything I've had, so I'm going to get rid of the things I don't need. Boom! Straight to the face. Fist to the face of Ted DiBiase. I was sitting, whoa! That got me off guard, man. I wasn't expecting that. It's still keeping me on my toes, which drags me into this story now because LA Knight is the new $1 million man, if you want to call him that. He's the new, he's going to carry on the legacy of the $1 million championship. He doesn't need Ted DiBiase, which is different, I think everyone who's had that belt in the past, the other people who have had it, Ted DiBiase Jr., Stone Cold, or just, the Ringmaster, they still relied on Ted DiBiase. He was the guy that was still, with them. They associated themselves with Ted DiBiase, but now LA Knight isn't associating himself with Ted DiBiase anymore. It's just a new creative way to change things up to where they're not repeating themselves of what they did in the past, which was, it's creative, man. I love that. It's so cool. But now, I'm more invested into that, and that's pun intended. I'm more invested into LA Knight as the $1 million champion, the new $1 million man. But now back to TakeOver. The Fatal 5 match was amazing. It was an instant classic, and that crowd was lame considering of what they were watching, of what was going on in the ring. And for that match, even though Karrion Kross came out as the champion, victorious, I give the MVP to Kyle O'Reilly for the performance that he put on in that ring. He shined in that ring, man. Unfortunately, he didn't shine like the NXT championship. He's not that shiny, but he shined because for too long, as long as he's been in NXT, he has been living in the shadow of Adam Cole and the rest of the Undisputed Era. Kyle O'Reilly is this guy that he is kind of the underdog. He was the underdog in this matchup also. The guy, like I said, was brought up in the Undisputed Era era, living in the shadow of Adam Cole, baby. Have a great feud with Adam Cole, but now he's saying, hey, I can be a great independent wrestler. And he did, man. It's a great singles talent. And now I tweeted this out on my Twitter at Total Smark. I said, Kyle O'Reilly is in my top 10 of favorite current wrestlers now because of what he did. And he's very relatable, too, in that matchup also. Because it's kind of like one of those, he's in a match that he necessarily, no one will really see him there. I think a lot of people underestimate Kyle O'Reilly. Just look at him. And seeing the other guys that he was with, well, Adam Cole, for instance, even though he was part of Undisputed Era, he's the number one guy that most people would recognize. Along that, Karrion Kross, Pete Dunne, Johnny Gargano, and now you have Kyle O'Reilly in this matchup. It's this guy that probably didn't have as much success as a singles competitor compared to these other guys. So the underdog coming into this matchup, and he's somewhere that he shouldn't be, and a lot of people relate to that. That's how I see this matchup. Of course, he's in a position that he put himself in because he worked to be in that position, and that's very relatable to a lot of people. So that's another reason why I'm drawn to Kyle O'Reilly more, is because this guy, like I said, in the shadow of someone that's more successful, but he's going to prove that he can hang with these other people. He's going to prove that he can be as successful as these other guys. But that match, amazing, crazy spots I've never seen before. When Pete Dunne was doing the flip and boom, he got super kicked in midair. It was exciting. You didn't know what was going to happen. And Kyle O'Reilly, like I said, the MVP, because yes, Karrion Kross got the victory over him, but he didn't tap. Kyle O'Reilly did not tap. He was still trying to hang in as long as he could, man. And so that's why the MVP goes to Kyle O'Reilly. And now he's going to face Kushida next week for the Cruiserweight belt, which is just exciting. I want to tune in to NXT to see that. And I also want to tune in because of Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe, baby. Not Adam Cole, baby. Samoa Joe, baby. Thank you, Papa H, for giving us, the fans, what we wanted. There's a lot of rumors, a lot of speculation. I think Samoa Joe's going to be back on NXT. People tune into NXT. The ratings were up this week because there was rumors that Samoa Joe was going to be in NXT with William Regal at the end of TakeOver crying. I said, I think it's time to make a change. Samoa Joe. This is going to be him. Who else can it be? Adam Pearce? Oh, good Lord, I hope not. That would be rage. But no, we got what we wanted. William Regal about to give his speech. Karrion Kross right there. Then all of a sudden, bam, 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 bam. Samoa Joe. Are you kidding me? I was sitting down eating my chicken, I was looking down. So I kind of tuned in to NXT a little late. I didn't watch the beginning. I stayed off his social media. I didn't know Samoa Joe was back yet. I was eating chicken, and then I look up and I see Samoa Joe, choking out Adam Cole, and I nearly choked on my chicken. Samoa Joe is back? I thought that's how they introduced him. Samoa Joe is back. Then I went back. Okay, no, that's he appeared already, but then he's talking to William Regal. William Regal is like, okay, you cannot touch anybody. But there he is, choking out Adam Cole, and he's face to face with Karrion Kross. So you think, what is this man going to do in NXT? Is he going to be a general manager? Is he going to be a commentator? Is he going to be a wrestler and challenge for the NXT championship? It's Samoa Joe TakeOver, baby. He's going to do it all. And that's what I love to see in NXT. And NXT is still a young enough brand to where alumni can come back and have great matches. They're still in their prime. They can come back, have great matches, and draw more eyes to the brand. And it's not like bringing Goldberg back, or Batista back. Because we all know most of those deals are cash grabs. There's a lot of money involved in those deals. And most of the time, people are coming back to put business for themselves, to get themselves over. But when you see people like Finn Balor or Samoa Joe go back to NXT, it's just not good for them themselves, but it's good for everyone who's involved because there's a lot of dream matchups in NXT that we haven't seen yet that we do want to see. Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross. I didn't know that I didn't want to see that, but now I do. And now I'm going to tune in to see how this story keeps getting. Are we going to have another Fatal 5? Are we going to have a Fatal 6 now? A Fatal 7? What? A Fatal 8? What? A Fatal 9? Well, I don't know who they all get for that. That'll be a pretty entertaining matchup, but now I'm entertained. I want to see this more, man. I want to see what else they're going to do with this. And that's what I like. Also, since I started watching NXT, is that I have yet to see the same matchup back-to-back consecutive weeks in a row. And they set up matches that make me want to tune in to watch, like Kushida and O'Reilly next week. I'm looking forward to that. I will be watching NXT next Tuesday to see if Kyle O'Reilly will get the Cruiserweight Championship. But now he's going to face Adam Cole again at the Great American Bash in a few weeks. Will they challenge the Cruiserweight Championship if Kyle O'Reilly has it at the time? These are questions I'm asking myself. These are things I want to see on TV. These are things that have me suspense. These are things that have me emotionally invested. And I want to watch. And it's for a positive reason. And it's not like Evaloution. Evaloution. Which I think a majority of us wanted to see if Eva Marie was going to do something different, which WWE kind of did do a good job at this, building Eva Marie up for a month now, a month and a half now. Evaloution is coming. And now they're going to say, okay, this Monday night on Raw, Eva Marie is going to have her return to the ring, and people are going to tune in to want to watch that. They want to see if people are, but the thing is, people are already tuning in with the worst already in mind. And that's what we saw, because Eva Marie didn't change from when she was last in the WWE. She got someone else to take her place. And this is where I kind of have a problem with it. So people wanted to, and how can WWE want us to give Eva Marie a second chance when basically there's nothing that makes me want to give Eva Marie a second chance? Now we see Piper Niven. I didn't know who she was till I got on Twitter, and you know what? The announcers didn't even know who this was. Who was that? A mystery partner? Who was that with Eva Marie? But after looking at Twitter, Piper Niven has been on NXT UK and in the Mae Young Classic. She is an employee of the WWE. And who has she faced in NXT UK? Why, thank you for asking. She has faced Piper Niven, aka Mystery Woman, on Monday Night Raw, has faced the Raw Women's Champion Rhea Ripley in the past. Really? Guess what? Rhea Ripley is on the very same show that Piper Niven, the Mystery Woman, is on. That's a pretty big detail to someone who has no idea who Piper Niven is. Why didn't they even mention that? Why didn't the announcers give us, the viewers, some info of what's happening? To know, for instance, we're in America. A lot of Americans don't watch NXT UK. That would have been some helpful information. They act like Piper Niven was brought in by Eva Marie, but apparently we are to completely disregard that Piper Niven has worked for the WWE for the past couple of years. And personally, I would be offended if I was a part of NXT UK or a fan of NXT UK, because sometimes WWE makes people's accomplishments feel like they don't even matter if they're not even a part of Raw or SmackDown. And the fact that WWE has acknowledged NXT UK this past week adds more confusion to why they didn't acknowledge someone else from that brand. This past week they acknowledged Walter, because now Walter has gone over 800 days as the NXT UK champion. They acknowledge it on their social medias. So we know NXT UK is a thing. And so, going back to this, What if Walter comes in to Raw or SmackDown? Well, would that even matter? Will that? Because sometimes they make you feel like if you're not on Raw or SmackDown, you don't matter. It's like, obviously, Piper Niven was never champion. She doesn't have the status of Rhea Ripley or Toni Storm, but we know where they came from. We know where they've been. We know they've been a part of NXT UK. And when other talent come from NXT, the announcers tell us, they tell us where they came from. Like Rick Boggs. I had no idea who this guy was when he started shredding to Shinsuke Nakamura's theme song on SmackDown until Michael Cole said, "Oh, that's Rick Boogs or Rick Boggs, whatever his name is. But he's from NXT." They said, "Oh, he's from NXT." Okay, now I have an idea of who this guy is. He's from NXT. I know he's not a complete stranger. He's been in NXT. He has some ring experience. He has experience in the wrestling world. And even then, when someone comes, like an NXT talent, enters the Royal Rumble, they let us know, like, oh, that's Damian Priest from NXT. Oh, that's Pete Dunne from NXT UK. You know, why isn't WWE always giving credits for one of their own brands? You know, I bet some viewers may not even know, like, NXT UK exists. You know, if it's a brand new viewer or someone that just doesn't pay attention, that's not really in touch. But seriously, let us know if we're from NXT UK. There's an NXT UK. I better go check that out. Now I'm mysterious about Piper Niven. Now I know that she's a part of the company and they're not acknowledging that she does work for them. I may want to go now. I better study up on this girl. I better see what she's done. I did. I saw that she faced Rhea Ripley in the past. I saw she was at the Mae Young Classic. Why doesn't WWE want us to know this? Why don't? And going along, back to Piper Niven, I imagine we will get some idea to why she's paired up with Eva Marie. But this was odd to me. So when she hugged Eva Marie at the end, she had that face. Eva Marie did, like, I don't want you touching me. Why are you touching me? But then in a social media post, Eva Marie was like posing with Piper Niven, her arm on her shoulder or something like that. And then Eva Marie was bragging on social media because Evaloution was trending. And it wasn't trending for a good reason. But at this point, all press is good press, as they say, because Raw announced the return of Eva Marie. People are curious to see if it's going to be different this time around or the same. And if it's different, people are going to tweet about how surprised they were. But if it was the same exact Eva Marie that people do not like, people are going to tweet about how much they hated it and how stupid it was, which is exactly what they did. And hey, okay, I watched Total Divas back in the day, okay? Season 1 and Season 2. We all know Eva Marie she's in WWE because she got casted to be on Total Divas. That's the story I heard. That's the story I believe. So it's like, this is the same Eva Marie that's here, you know, flaunting everything. And it's nothing that, you know, it's the one we were annoyed with. And it's the one we're still annoyed with because she's doing the exact same thing. But lately, there's been so much speculation and talk about who's going where. You know, so-and-so is showing up on here. And I just got done talking about Samoa Joe and Eva Marie. You know, talks for months now about, are they going to return to the WWE? Are they going to go somewhere else? And obviously, you had the big releases a few weeks ago. You know, Andrade is now in AEW. There are talks that WWE wants Aleister Black back. You know, now Big Show, Paul White is in AEW. Mark Henry is in AEW. Pretty interesting to see what's going to happen with him. But apparently, Mark Henry is trying to get AEW to sign Braun Strowman, saying that there is interest on both sides. So there's already a lot of negativity when it comes to the signing. I'm personally against this decision for Braun Strowman to be in AEW. And here are a few reasons why I don't think Braun Strowman should be in AEW. There are 4 reasons why I don't think, so allow me to share them as I get rehydrated right here on the Total Smark Wrestling Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at Total Smark. Like and subscribe. Leave a 5-star rating. Gotta get that plug in there, always. So here are 4 reasons why I don't think that Braun Strowman should be signed to AEW. I would use his real name. It's Adam something. But I'm just going to go with Braun Strowman because that's the name we know. That's the name we associate with wrestling. You got to keep it kayfabe, baby. So the first reason why I do not think Braun Strowman should be signed in AEW is because there are already enough big guys in AEW that they need to utilize more often, such as Powerhouse Will Hobbs, Miro, Brian Cage, Wardlow, Luchasaurus, The Butcher. And AEW doesn't need a monster among men because they already have the Murder Hawk monster, Lance Archer. You know, there's already a whole bunch of big menacing guys that can knock your head off. They're already larger than life itself. And I believe that AEW needs to utilize these big guys more. And I believe that they will, such as Miro being the TNC champion, you know, Lance Archer being in that title match at Double Nothing a few weeks ago. Wardlow is obviously in the Pinnacle. Powerhouse Hobbs is in Team Tab. So these big guys are being utilized, but not to that point yet. But I think eventually in a few years, some of these names I mentioned will be some of the top stars. They will be the recognizable faces of this company. And I think if Braun Strowman were to come in the company, he will take away that spotlight for many of these young talents who the company is trying to build up to make as their own. You know, people say AEW has so many, you know, they criticize AEW for having so many WWE guys, but I think they should be criticized when the WWE starts to steal the spotlight for some of these AEW guys. And yeah, you have Miro coming in, you know, but he's reinvented himself in a certain way. He was with Kip Sabian coming in, trying to reinvent himself, have a different way, but now he's being a different kind of Miro, a more aggressive Rusev, in my opinion. You know, so it's not like he's like some of these ex-WWE people are coming in and steal the spotlight. No, they're coming in to help the company, to benefit others. And I think if Braun Strowman would come in, he would take the spotlight away for all those other talents that deserve that spotlight to be built up. And the second reason why I don't think Braun Strowman should be in AEW is because he's a cash grab. He is a cash grab. If he were to be signed, I think he would be there just for the money, strictly for the money. Now think about this. He's a product of the Performance Center from WWE. He wasn't like a Christian or Chris Jericho or Andrade or some of these other people that were on the indie circuits years before they got brought into to the Performance Center or in AEW. No, this guy was a power lifter that got recruited to the Performance Center, you know, and I don't really know if he has that big of a passion for wrestling. For instance, he's charging 5 figures for indie appearances. And an update from a Pro Wrestling Insider, the source of the original report said, now reports that Strowman's manager had quoted $20,000 to $25,000 for a 3-hour appearance. This has been quoted to multiple indie promoters that have reached out with interest in booking Braun. Now, Strowman's manager is also asking for first-class airfare, a 2-night hotel stay, plus all meals and ground support to be covered. Like, seriously? Like, so for charging $20,000 for a 3-hour appearance, but yet a 2-night hotel stay? If he's only there for 3 hours, you only need 1 night for a hotel or something. Unless he wants to go around the city, but if he wants to be a tourist, that should be on his own dime. And $20,000 for a 3-hour appearance, like, I see that's what it is, though. That's what I'm talking about. Being a product of the Performance Center, it's all about the money to him. It's not about the passion for wrestling. It's not like all these ex-WWE people just trying to get ring time anywhere they can, trying to go to any promotion they can. Yeah, I bet it's not going to be cheap, but it's not going to be $20,000 for a guy who is 1 year removed from beating Goldberg at a WrestleMania where no one was to get a Universal Championship, which meant nothing to what it means now with Roman Reigns. So I think it's very overpriced. It's asking too much, and this is showing that he is high maintenance. And so this is a guy who I think would immediately want a title shot. And this goes into my third reason perfectly. If Braun Strowman were to be signed to AEW, this will hurt other talent. I kind of mentioned in my first point, there's already so many big guys that are there that they're trying to build up. So if Braun Strowman did come in, that would hurt that possibility for these other guys to be built up to the status where they need to be. So, going to my third point right now. I think with Braun Strowman being signed, it's going to result in people getting buried, and he's not going to help put other talent over. The big name that he has, the WWE brand that he has, he's not going to want to put guys over that he thinks is beneath him. You know, I think he could benefit smaller guys like Sammy or Jungle Boy or Darby. You know, that's a David and Goliath matchup right there. But then again, is Braun the type of guy that would do the business for someone else, for someone that isn't at the status he is? Like I said, I think this is a guy that will come in that will want a title shot. So if he does, that means a lot of politicking. It means he's not going to want to lose. If he's a guy that really has no passion for wrestling, a guy that has passion for money, we've seen this in the past. But yet again, I don't really know if these points really will happen because I don't know how Braun Strowman really is as a person. So I kind of am speculating all my points, but just seeing how it's a guy coming in from the WWE who has been a world, in quotation, champion. You know, well, why other point would you come in unless you're getting a title shot, unless you're main eventing, unless you're being up there and being in those big money matches? You know, but the fourth reason why I do not think Braun Strowman should be signed to AEW is that I think this will hurt the AEW fan base. It will hurt the fan base. Regardless if any of my three other points are correct, the fourth reason why Braun Strowman should not be signed to AEW is because this will hurt the AEW fan base. Let me explain. There are a lot of WWE fans that are also AEW fans, and that will draw WWE fans their attention to AEW. But also, AEW, there are AEW fans that hate the current WWE product, which will mean that if Strowman immediately becomes a champion or gets into some main event, that's going to turn away. It's going to be a turnoff, I think, for some of these loyal AEW fans that hate WWE. But like I said, it's not Chris Jericho, who's been all over the world, Mexico, Japan, like WCW. Chris Jericho isn't a product of WWE. He was already self-made before he got in there. He just became a bigger star in WWE. This isn't Christian, who what was in WWE, but then also went to Impact and is well respected for all the work he has done. One of the most underrated wrestlers of all time, in my and many other people's opinions. This isn't Andrade, who, yes, I know his name from WWE, but he's been across Mexico, been across the world, a well-respected luchador. So it's like all these people I just mentioned, these three names, plus a lot of other talent in AEW, they've proved themselves in other parts of the world. So when you think about, and also think about this, when Miro came into WWE, into AEW, a lot of people were not on board with that, because even people that are fans of WWE, like myself, it's because he was being this video game, Miro. This Miro that we'd never seen before. We did not associate video games with Miro, but until he got away from Kip Sabian, he became more that Bulgarian brute that we all know a part of. He has that little bit of Rusev in there, but a different version of it, just a meaner, aggressive, more PG-13 version of Rusev. And now AEW fans are starting to warm up to Miro because of this change he has. And Miro says, he's like, I'm not even in this for AEW. I'm in this for myself, is basically what he's saying. He's getting that psychopath, or sociopath, if you will, not really caring, just going in there just to win, to kill people, to knock their heads off. That's what we're seeing from this Miro right now. And it's something we haven't seen before. So a lot of people are being warmed into it. But we haven't seen Braun Strowman anywhere else besides WWE. We haven't seen him wrestle anywhere else besides WWE, which makes me think that this guy doesn't have the same passion for wrestling as other people have. Which makes me think he doesn't want to continue to wrestle. Well, if the price is right, I think he will continue to wrestle. But do you think Braun Strowman will have the mentality to change his character like Miro has, as I just gave the example for, who came in, who changes? Do you think Braun Strowman will try to change in any way, or still try to be the monster among men that we've seen for years in the WWE? Now, the position he was in was kind of to the booking, but Braun Strowman was he's been kind of the same in WWE. You know, after leaving the Wyatt family, still just that monster among men, the guy who tries to intimidate you, but now running to a freaking train whistle. So that's another thing. Like, do you think Braun Strowman would try to change himself up if he was to go into AEW? It's hard to say. It really is. For a guy, like I said, who's just been brought up in the WWE, no experience outside of that. So it's really a lot of speculation. But like I said, it's not something I want to see. It's not something that I don't think Tony Khan should take a risk on. But if you have minds like Mark Henry or, The Big Show, that's, Paul White, obviously, but people that would help him to get on that track, maybe it would work out. But that's the other thing with WWE talent, that no matter who it is, that name is going to outshine anyone else that is being brought up with AEW. So those are my few reasons why I do not think that Braun Strowman should be signed to AEW. Now, as we wrap this up, in the midst of everything else, we have Hell in a Cell coming up. That's right around the corner. And it's weird that it's not in October. So it seems like we just had Hell in a Cell, because it honestly wasn't too long ago. But let me quickly run through my predictions of what I think is going to happen this Sunday. If you're listening to this after Hell in a Cell, well, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, so time for you to be impressed. Let's do this. Lashley versus McIntyre, with the stipulation, if McIntyre loses, he will not be granted another shot at the title as long as Lashley is champion. Now, have you noticed when WWE does this to add suspense, they do this to add suspense to a story when the story is kind of weak. So it's like, this is his last chance. And very rarely will this happen, that Drew McIntyre will lose and he will never have the shot at the WWE champion or challenge Bobby, unless he were to lose and then get drafted to SmackDown coming up and have something with Roman Reigns. It could happen, but you never know. But I think Drew is going to walk away as champion, because why not? Why not? Speaking of why not, Rhea versus Charlotte for the Raw Women's Champion. And who would have thought that Nikki Cross and Asuka would somehow be a big part of the story? Like, for real, Nikki Cross is on a streak. She's having a Goldberg streak since she's been back, because she's been unbeatable. Like, Nikki Cross has kind of been the scapegoat in this story. And they're using her as the one to create tension between Charlotte and Rhea. And I know the story. This is the story. Charlotte is jealous of Rhea Ripley. And I've explained this in the 2 other episodes that I've done on the Total Smark Wrestling podcast. Charlotte is jealous of Rhea because Rhea is the newer, younger champion who in ways is better than Charlotte. But Charlotte is saying, no, I'm the better person. I'm the best in the world. But Rhea thinks you are a loser. And Charlotte thinks, no, you are a loser. Well, they're just bullying each other, and there's no heel or babyface in this story. But there is a story there. It's a weird story, not the best story. It could be executed differently. But I think Rhea is going to keep this championship. I think she's going to win because why not? What difference will it make if she loses? What difference will it make if Charlotte wins? I don't think there is. So why not? Rhea is going to keep it. Here we go. Bayley versus Bianca Belair. Bianca is going to win, even though I have enjoyed Bayley most right now than I ever have in her whole entire career. I love the ding dong hello, the craziness. It's awesome. I love it. But Bianca is going to lose. But I think it will be interesting. I think Bayley is going to try to do something to Bianca's hair because she thinks, oh, you're cheating. So this is going to come out before SmackDown. We'll see if there's any stipulation with Bianca's hair. Okay, Alexa versus Shayna. Part of it, I think, is going to take place in a weird backstage setting or some weird cinematic way at the ring. Alexa will hypnotize Reginald to attack Shayna, and Alexa will win. Boom. I'm calling it. There's going to be some hypnosis that's going to take place in this match right here. And then Alexa will win because, she has the powers of the dark forces. Seth versus Cesaro. Here we go again. Another Seth Rollins versus Cesaro. I don't doubt that it won't be a banger. It will be a banger. Rollins will win, but I want to see Cesaro bring it, which he will. Finally, Roman versus Rey Mysterio in the Hell in a Cell. Roman is going to win. No doubt about it. Will it be a great match? Oh, you better believe it, buddy. I'm excited to see this match. But I think Jimmy and Jay are going to be involved somehow. They're going to try to come in the ring, I think. They could interfere. I also think Dominic is going to be involved in this match somehow. And he may turn on Rey and acknowledge Roman. Oh my goodness. Son turning against father. Son teaming up with Roman Reigns. What is Rey Mysterio going to do? That'll be an interesting story. I'd like to see how that happens at Hell in a Cell coming this Sunday. So I am making some interesting predictions, and I'll be interested to see if any of my predictions turn out. But with that said, this concludes this week's episode of the Total Smark Podcast. Now, hey man, thank you for listening. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share. Come on here if you want. Come talk wrestling with me. Send your tweets. Let me know what you say. Go support your local wrestling promotions. Go to an independent show. Buy a wrestler's t-shirt. Buy some action figures. Support local wrestling. Support wrestling. Continue to stick with it even though it can suck sometimes. But hey man, take it easy. God bless. I will check you out later. Peace.